welcome again on behalf of us, of NRW Global Business. We are the state-owned trade and investment agency of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. In short terms today, we will stick with NRW, making it a little bit easier for each and everybody of us. And today, of course, kicking off the Startup Germany Tour 2021, we would like to present you the startup ecosystem NRW, diving a little bit deeper into it. And of course, as already said in the beginning, we are very overwhelmed of the huge number of interest and participants joining today. So showing some interest in the startup ecosystem over here in our federal state in Germany, in NRW. My name is Christoph, I'm your host today. I will guide you a little bit through that kind of webinar today, and of course looking already forward to different and definitely interesting insights. And that's also with a great pleasure to open up this year's anniversary tour. So it's the 5th time from 2017 onwards that the Startup Germany Tour is going to take place in our state. And of course, in the next 75 minutes, some very interesting topics are awaiting you. Very briefly at the beginning, one last technical note from my side. So at the end of each and every short presentation, we will have a Q&A session for around 5 minutes, it depends. But also in the end, you will have time to ask your questions. Feel free to ask whatever you want to know from the participants over here. And as said, please use the Zoom function for Q&A for this, making life over here a little bit easier for us. And first, and however, the floor belongs to the one and only person, Dominik Stute, with his tireless work and dedication to this whole project for more or less 5 years, as already said, having made this a very huge success over the past years. It's my honor and pleasure to hand over for a few welcoming words to Dominik. Yeah, Dominik, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christoph, for this nice introduction. Also from my side, a warm welcome to our webinar, Startup Ecosystem NRW, Key Players and Possible Connection. And at the same time, welcome to the start of the pre-program of the Startup Germany Tour. As Christoph already said, my name is Dominik Stute. I'm responsible for the field of foreign market development and new economy at the Chamber of Industry and Commerce in Dortmund. And as he also said, I am something like the main person in charge of the Startup Germany Tour. Our tour aims to show foreign startups the dynamic economy of North Rhine-Westphalia and its exciting startup ecosystem, to help startups to get access to the German market and to bring them together with a lot of well-known internationally operating companies from NRW. For this, there's a pre-program which mainly consists of webinars and starts right now. These webinars are open to everyone, and throughout the year, we will invite you to many more exciting webinars on further topics. In mid-November, the main program will take place. Here, only 5 startups per country are allowed to participate. And if you're interested to join, just use the contact form on the website or send me an email. Yeah, I'm really proud that the tour is celebrating its 5th anniversary this year. In the last 4 years, we welcomed 276 startups from 40 countries in Germany. The first year is physically on site, since last year digitally. In pitches, matchmakings, reverse pitches of the companies, and much more, we have created over 2,500 connections between foreign startups and German corporations, multipliers, and institutions. And this year, we again expect far more than 100 startups from around 40 countries. Such successes can only be achieved in a team with an outstanding network. The tour is a product of many players in NRW and beyond. The 6 chambers of industry and commerce from the Ruhr region, the chambers in Düsseldorf and Cologne, our umbrella organization, the DAHK, and the German Chambers of Commerce abroad host the tour, design the program in NRW, and thus ensure that startups from all over the world can get to know NRW's exciting startup ecosystem and a lot of exciting companies as well. Our well-known partners support us in making the tour and the pre-program a unique experience. I would like to expressly thank Germany Trade and Invest and the associated Digital Hub initiative, as well as the Ministry of Economic Affairs, Innovation, Digitalization, and Energy of the state North Rhine-Westphalia for being partners of the tour, for their profitable involvement and for making the program even more attractive. Yeah, and of course, these thanks also go to NRW Global Business, which is organizing this first webinar today. NRW Global Business has been a partner since the first tour and is extremely important for us in the implementation of the entire program. My special thanks go to Elena Matekina and Christoph Sommer, who are responsible for the tour at NRW Global Business. Yeah, and of course also to the CEO of NRW Global Business, Felix Neugart, for his long-standing support. I hope all of you now enjoy the first webinar, and yeah, please stay with us for the next ones as well. Thank you, Christoph.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dominic, for this very warm introduction and welcoming words. So as already mentioned, as the ministry is also part of this tour, we are very happy that the Minister of Economy and Digitalization, Mr. Pinkwart, is unfortunately not in physical presence today with us, but as he's a lot of caring about the startup topic, he does not want to miss the opportunity to address to you, the startups from all around the globe, a few welcoming words, sending over a very digital greeting message to welcome you to NRW.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear entrepreneurs all around the world, entrepreneurship is of high relevance on a global scale. Innovations can emerge around the world and entrepreneurs may use global markets to sell their products or offer their services. With the Start.up Germany tour, we want to provide visibility and financial support to promising international new business endeavors. We offer prize money worth of 15,000 euros in total to the top 3 startups of this tour. Together with a network of national and international chambers of commerce, as well as NRW Global Business as main partner and Germany Trade and Invest, we are jointly organizing this year's Start.up Germany tour. This format has been a successful series of events since 2017. Last year alone, more than 120 startups from 30 countries participated in our virtual Start.up Germany tour. Today is a kick-off of this year's tour with many exciting follow-up events to come, such as the Ruhr Summit in June or the Digital Demo Day in September. We are proud that participants of close to 40 countries worldwide will be pitching their ideas in the following weeks. We look forward to inviting the top 15 startups to Germany to show you our entrepreneurial ecosystem and connect you with our key players. Here in the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, we have a highly supportive entrepreneurial ecosystem with numerous stakeholders who coach emerging startups, such as our 5 Digi Hubs or our 75 Starter Center NRW. Also, we offer new enterprises who are selecting our state as main location for their business activities, a welcoming package of up to 3,000 euros. We want to encourage you to join our Start.up Germany tour, pitch your ideas and grow your businesses on an international scale. Warm welcome here in North Rhine-Westphalia.
Yeah, so these were the welcoming words. And if you're coming over here or joining also the digital tour in November, of course, you will also meet Mr. Pinkwart in person then, be it here on the ground or also in the digital world. And now it's with great pleasure and my honor to hand over to my CEO, Felix Neugart, already mentioned before, who also would like to give you a very brief welcoming words and also some first impressions of NRW. So Felix, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Christoph. Dear startups from all over the world that are now with us, dear friends, dear partners from NRW, it's also my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of NRW Global Business. We are the new trade and investment agency of the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And as you have already learned, we're usually called by our short form NRW. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm really delighted to greet you, startups from more than 30 country to our webinar today, in which we will introduce you to the startup system here in NRW. And you've already heard this in the context of our 5th Startup Tour Germany 2021. We here at NRW Global Business, we are proud to have been a partner for 5 consecutive years of this endeavor. And of course, we are glad to also be partner this year of the anniversary tour. This tour, you've already heard, is mostly virtual, but as the minister has just pointed out, the 15 winners of regional preliminary pitch events, they will be invited to the live event in NRW in November, and we will not only have the chance to be introduced here on the spot to our local ecosystem NRW, but we will also give you the opportunity to win a monetary prize in the pitch finals. Let me give you a very brief introduction to North Rhine-Westphalia. We are actually Germany's economic powerhouse. 1/5 of the German GDP is generated here in NRW, and we are one of the most vibrant locations for international startups here in Europe. We are the largest German state with nearly 18 million inhabitants, very potential market, and we are centrally located in the heart of Europe, very short distances to the major population centers of Europe. And we have here, I believe, at least a huge potential for B2B and B2C business. On the one hand, we have a substantial number of multinational heavyweights who have their headquarters here in NRW, household names like Bayer, Henkel, ThyssenKrupp, DHL, and others who are right here in North Rhine-Westphalia. But we have also, and this is, I think, in some ways even more important, we have the so-called Mittelstand, the small and medium-sized companies. And many of these medium-sized companies are actually hidden champions. That means they're very much market leaders in a specific sector, in a specific niche on an international scale. And these companies, of course, can offer you as startups numerous business opportunities. In one field, I think, which is of particular importance, both for you and for these SME companies, it's a digital transformation, which is a top priority, which where, I mean, there are many companies here in North Rhine-Westphalia who are working, especially now in the pandemic, on this issue. And I think there's a huge opportunity for you to get in touch with these companies and to help them to develop their digitalization process, to develop their digital tools, both in production of products and services, and also then in bringing these to the customers. You can also benefit from our dynamic startup scene here. The minister has already pointed to it. Every 5th startup that is existing in Germany is based here in NRW, and we have, I think, a number of quite well-known startups. Trivago, you might know, Omani, Cognigy, on the one hand. On the other hand, we have also international startups who came here to North Rhine-Westphalia from various countries to grow their business here, and names like Mobileye, Klarna, or Picnic might sound familiar to you. Let me mention one third point, which I think is a big plus for NRW. We are also one of the top locations for high-tech innovations. We have a large number of universities, of research centers. You might have heard about the RWTH in Aachen, the famous engineering universities, or one of our many Fraunhofer or Max Planck institutes which specialize in various areas of high-tech and which might be very interesting, very beneficial connection points if and when you come to North Rhine-Westphalia. And we have also platforms to enable this cooperation. We have the digital hubs, the Digi hubs, and other networks which work to connect, so to speak, the dots between the important players and you, the international startups. And today you will have the opportunity to listen and to learn to some of the representatives of these institutions. You will have the chance to ask questions if you're interested in North Rhine-Westphalia, to get in touch with them. And we will also introduce you incubation acceleration programs, which are present here in North Rhine-Westphalia, both from companies and from institutions who, let me put it like this, who might bring you up to speed if you choose to come here. And last, but by no means least, we at NRW Global Business, Elena Madekina, Christoph Dommer, the colleagues, we will do our best to help you to get an easy start as a startup here in North Rhine-Westphalia. We are one-stop agency, and we're really geared towards supporting companies at every turn of the process of setting up shop here. And our motto is ready, steady, grow here in NRW. And therefore, I would like to invite you to come to join our team NRW and to join us to grow big here in Europe. Thank you very much, and back to you, Christoph.
Yeah, thanks for the very warm welcoming words. So, and that's a very good already touch point to now hand over the word and to dive a little bit deeper into the ecosystem of our state. And for this, we have managed to win Mr. Markus Gick from NRW. And Markus is the managing director of NRW, as also XTech acceleration hub in Cologne. And he is, of course, leading the Startup Association here over in our state, and would love to present you numerous touch points, how they can and might definitely support you over here when setting up business, looking out for, connecting with the startup ecosystem. So it's a pleasure to have you with us, Markus. So please, let us know how to get around in NRW and what you can offer to international startups, please.
First, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christoph. Thank you very much, Dominik, for inviting me to the tour. Thank you, Felix, and thank you, Elena, for organizing all this. And warm welcome to all of you. I see we have 72 participants, 72 startups being here with us. So a very warm welcome to you. And I have prepared a short presentation which I want to share with you about the NRW ecosystem and about how to make the most out of it. I hope you can see it. Assume yes.
It's not in full mode.
So yes, now we have it.
No,
perfect.
Great, go ahead.
So, as you can see, I'm also in the background. You see one of these towers, NRW. It was a very industrial, it still is a very industrialized area in Germany. And as Felix already mentioned, the home of hidden champions and of B2B companies still. And NR Valley, as you can imagine, as a Silicon Valley, NR Valley is an organization, a startup association for to bring together the startups in the ecosystem to help international startups get landing opportunities in NRW, but also help national startups, NRW startups, to internationalize. And I'm here, as Christoph mentioned, with two hats. One, NRW, NR Valley. I'm the managing director there. And the other one is XTech. XTech is a seed and pre-seed accelerator here in Cologne, which I'm also managing. And therefore, I think I can tell you both about the association side, but also on practical terms, how to get, for example, into an accelerator here, and how this looks like as one possibility probably for some of you who want to explore and get to know and work in the ecosystem here. Accelerators and other institutions are a good place to start it. Just some brief words about me, Markus Gick. I have been a consultant at BCG, was working at the Bertelsmann Stiftung. That's a family-owned Stiftung by the Mohn family in Gütersloh in East Westphalia, Bielefeld, close to Hanover. So it's not so well known, the Bertelsmann Stiftung, yes, but maybe not the region. But it's one of the powerhouses, actually, one of the B2B powerhouses within North Rhine-Westphalia. I also founded my own startup, Skills for School, in the edutech realm. So I'm kind of a founder myself. And therefore, like intrinsically motivated to build the ecosystem and to help the ecosystem in North Rhine-Westphalia. So let's start first with Nrw, what we are doing, just to get you some brief words about us and how we can help you with. So we are the only startup association for the whole of NRW. And as Felix mentioned, NRW is like the biggest biggest federal state in Germany. And we have actually many startups here. We have one association for the whole of Germany for startups, the so-called Bundesverband Deutsche Startups, but we didn't have an association yet just for NRW startups. We founded this 1 year ago, so we're a very young organization, but we are already pretty well connected. You saw Mr. Pinkwart beforehand. We have regular like calls with him to try to build the ecosystem and also the legal and political side even more in favor of startups, which already we have to say is a pretty favorable states for startups. We have other federal states, and in Germany it's not a centralized system as you have in France or other countries. There the federal states have a lot of power, and therefore it's very important for startup associations or for startups to know which federal state is more startup friendly than maybe another one. And we are here to even make this system better, or to get the input of the different startups and bring them to the different political parties in power yet now, or the ones who maybe will be in power in some years, we never know. So we are not just connected to the current parties, but also to the parties we believe could change the system, so we have a sort of continuity with the best ideas for startups. And since NRW is such a big state, and I was mentioning one part of it, East Westphalia, actually we have so many different parts in North Westphalia. So it's in itself, we have several states in the state of North Westphalia, you could say. So it's a very regional area where you have different innovation ecosystems. Therefore, our association is also in these different areas of North Westphalia. And there you can see it, and it gives you, I think, a good hint how North Westphalia is situated. You see here on the right-hand side, that's me again at East Westphalia, Ostwestfalen-Lippe, East Westphalia, where I was with the Bertelsmann Stiftung for a lot of time and did some innovation exchanges there. That's why I'm the speaker for this region, but you have other regions as well. For example, the Bergisches Land, where we have another speaker, Südwestfalen, South Westphalia, Münster, very, very famous there at the moment, doing many interesting projects. We have the RWTH in Aachen, like one of the most famous universities, especially technical universities in Germany, where you have lots of spin-offs. Of course, you have Düsseldorf and Cologne as the biggest cities here in North Westphalia, but North Westphalia is more than Düsseldorf and Cologne, and it offers, like here we have it built in 10 different regions where lots of innovation and lots of players are active and is happening. Therefore, it's good for you to know that NRW, as I said, is more than just the biggest cities here, and it could be that the countryside could be more interesting to your startup or to your product, because one of the hidden champions, as Felix was mentioning, one of the big companies is situated there. So you have in small cities, or not even cities, villages, it could be that you have a company there with hundreds of millions of euro of revenue you never heard about, right? Or just maybe in a specialized field you heard about them. But even Germans oftentimes don't know. First, maybe they know the company, but they don't know where it is situated. And that's especially true for North Westphalia, where you have them in, like, as I said, small villages around the country, around the federal state. That's why it is important to, broaden your horizon. And as Felix said, why go to NRW? I was mentioning first the very startup-friendly politics. And that's holds still true. We are actually from the association side, we want to be more critical, but at the moment it's really running well for startups. There's of course always something to do, but we had, I think, some special programs. For example, the Nrw Founder Scholarship. We have different other new institutions which have been brought to life. We have like innovators, prizes, and stuff like that, all done in the last like 5 to 10 years. So NRW really has changed from this respect, from a mainly B2B hotspot also to a startup hotspot. But what is interesting for you in this respect, why NRW? It's, as I said, the politic, but also you have a very big talent pool in North Rhine-Westphalia, around 80,000 students of computer science, electric engineering, and so on and so forth. I was mentioning the RWTH Aachen, RWTH Aachen, but there are many other universities which offer a lot of talent here. And as Felix said, we have lots of inhabitants here as well, and are situated strategically in the middle of Europe. So if you start in NRW, you can actually capture the rest of Europe or the rest of the market pretty easily. And you see here on the right-hand side, and that's maybe the most important message I want to send here. We did a little analysis, or I did some years ago at the Bertelsmann Stiftung actually, about where are actually the B2B, the Mittelstand companies, the most interesting ones who are craving for innovation situated. And we did it like really scientifically, so this is not some hoax or something like this, or we didn't cheat the numbers. It's simply that nearly 4,000 of the over 50 million revenue who really looking for innovation are situated in North Rhine-Westphalia. Of course, you have the big states in the South, Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg, which are powerhouses as well. But especially when you are active in the B2B sphere, North Rhine-Westphalia is the place to be. And it is still pretty much untapped. We have several initiatives at the moment going on, Founders Foundation in East Westphalia and others. So hubs which have been sprung up in the last years, which foster the like regional ecosystem in North Rhine-Westphalia, but especially international startups. I think they have, it's still very promising because there's still lots of potential which has not been tapped yet. And one of the reasons why it is also why the landing opportunity is so good at the moment, because this strong innovation ecosystem has been built up in the last years. You see the number 75 starter centers. Oh, 1 second. On the right-hand side, Mr. Pinkwart was mentioning them, though these numbers are still pretty much accurate, even though it's from 2019. But you see, you have a lot, like a kind of have many actors who could be supportive. We have co-working spaces, starter centers. We have, of course, like the startups, but we also have excellent startup centers, which are at universities. We have accelerators, which I'm heading one of them. R&D centers, innovation hubs, and so on and so forth. But we also have, and that's interesting for you, might be interesting for you as well, venture capital funds. So also for VC funds, we have some, like many homegrown, but they are also getting more and more interested in NRW and NRW startups, but also in startups which are actively working here and collaborating with other of the, for example, medium-sized companies which are interested in innovation. So you have the right ingredients here to start really with your company. You have the customers, but you also have the financing. So I think, and you have the supporting organizations which can help you with knowledge, contacts, and so on and so forth. So actually, it's a I think especially in the last 10 years, a really developed ecosystem which offers lots of opportunities also from this side and lots of support which you could use. And if we dive a little more into...
Sorry to interrupt, but Marcus, it's more or less 1 more minute with regard to the time, because otherwise...
Oh, okay, perfect. So
yeah.
It will be very quick.
Great.
Okay, perfect. So then just quickly, the accelerator, what I'm doing, and just to give you a little insight there, I'm also heading an accelerator. It's called the X-Tech, and it's in Cologne, 1 year old, like as old as my association. And what we are doing here, we are accelerating startups. So it's one of the supporting organisms or mechanisms. And since we believe that it should be international, we already have many international startups in our batches, for example, Veiling's Collect ID. and and we are focusing on data-driven B2B models, something you, if you are in the B2B sphere, I think could really use it or take advantage of. And maybe just as a last or brief words, why this could be something for you, because we are one of the accelerators. There are others as well, but we are one of the first ones from founders for founders. I'm a founder myself, and we do it in English, which is probably for most of you pretty helpful. And we do not take equity or fees. That's also something I think many of you are could be interested in, and there are other accelerators in North Rhine-Westphalia as well who do it the same. So you have a lot of opportunities here. I will not go into the do's and don'ts now. It's just something you know, a little culture on the cultural side. Germans are you know, a little peculiar as well. So maybe just one thing which you could use, because I was working a lot with Israeli startups, and being too pushy. It's something which sometimes it was a little hard to accept for some Israelis working with like Israeli Mittelstand, average German Mittelstand companies or others. It's kind of a step-by-step approach, but we Germans really love, and NRW and the whole of Germany love to help as well. So always ask questions, and you're more than welcome to do this as well with me. Write me an email, shoot or ask some questions now. I'm here for you, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the very warm introduction about NRW, diving a little bit deeper into it, Marcus. So for the sake of time, I would skip the Q&A session, skip it a little bit to the end, because we are running afterwards, maybe a little bit out of time. So handing now over directly to Manuel, who is an angel investor and founder based out of Cologne. And also, as already mentioned, as you can see in his background, co-founder of the very legendary Pirate Summit over here in NRW in Cologne. And yeah, he will give us an impulse lecture about the turnaround story. So it's very looking forward to it. So Manuel, the stage is yours. You have to unmute yourself, and then you're good to go, I guess.
There, sorry.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm very happy. Thanks for inviting me. I had a chance to look through the chat, and I saw people from Iran there. I saw people from Egypt, and a lot of places, Croatia, etc. A lot of places where we have done events in the past. Actually, I've been to Iran twice. Very happy to see this a crowd that is this diverse. I'll try to keep this to 8 minutes, doing a slide storm quickly. I have brought a story from the trenches. So really it's basically a Corona survival story of one of our companies, which is an event business. And yeah, it's been quite a year. What do we do with Pirate? We help entrepreneurs succeed. So we help in all areas that entrepreneurs need help. We started as an event business, laying connections, but we have also provide capital and a lot of other things. I want to talk about the event business because 2020 was incredibly tough. Because as you know, nobody was allowed to do events, and even now most of the event business is still in hibernation mode. The situation in March was such that within a week, all the revenues went to zero, and we had a month of runway left in the bank. Cash is more important than your mother. So in times of crisis, you look at what's really left in the bank, and we're really it was tough. So I've been through 2 major crises in my life. So business crises, and the strategy that always worked best was hope for the best, plan for the worst. That's what we did. We looked at, okay, what do we have, or what is the situation like? The whole outlook, the whole context was very unclear, very uncertain, very volatile. But we had a very strong team. And we also knew that we can build on the team because the team is motivated. So we had 2 options. One was the safe path to just pause the business and just go into hibernation mode, and the other one to find a new business. And we are entrepreneurs, so that's the route that we took. We had a very intense planning week. Really 1 week, everybody, all hands on deck. Then 1 month to basically create the new business. So just like how you create a new startup, but we were something like 15 people in this business, in this event unit. And then from May on, we went to and do a go-to-market. It was a very intense pressure. Everybody knew what was on the line. We invested more money into the business, and this could have failed. So every day could have been the last for us to really go into hibernation mode and just do the pause thing, and we would have then basically just lost a lot of money. Within the first week, it was super intense and super productive. We made immense progress, and we essentially said, okay, we know about events. We don't believe that physical events are going to come back this year. We are going to go full in on online events. And that turned, basically it was a 100-degree pivot, but it turned out to be a good choice. Our go-to-market was, we didn't know anything about online events, and most people, even from the team, said, okay, who wants to sit in an online event? Online event is something that we are doing right now here. We wrote basically a book on it. We didn't know anything about it, but we just took 1 month to just write the whole book. We set up a newsletter to just inform ourselves, but also to build an audience. And we started to do podcasts and live shows. It was successful. The whole team was fully working in July, and in August we started hiring new employees. By the end of 2020, we doubled the crew to 30 people. So it was actually, we turned a crisis into an opportunity, and that's also one of the biggest lessons that I brought today. That of course it's a terrible crisis, but for entrepreneurs, it's often also a chance, because something is out of balance, and we as entrepreneurs can try to fill these gaps or these imbalances. It helped us that we had incredible focus, because the whole business was on the line. Everybody knew about that, and you're not pondering other things, or not. Don't get distracted easily if you have this this kind of focus. We created a lot of momentum. How we did this was that we had very clear communication, so everybody knew what was on the line. Our culture was always very autonomous, so we had small teams with their own responsibilities that knew how to work independently. And we had 3 check-ins a day, which really helped to bring the team together, and which just really was one of the key factors for us to succeed. We are lucky that in NRW we are in a community of give, ask, where people give first, which you also see in the on the left side. The Rhineland is basically the area that we are. It's a part of NRW, and this community really pulled together during this hard time, and everybody helped everybody else out. And we learned that the culture is built in good times to basically survive the bad times. I'm just going to do a very quick glimpse on our culture. 2 more minutes. I'll manage. So the whole culture is built around humans. So we deeply appreciate, or we deeply understand that everybody is on their own journey. And at Pirate, we want to that everybody that works at Pirate can become the best version of themselves. So they are not resources. They are not, I don't know, just some they are not machines that just function, but everybody can really become the best version or reach their full potential. That's at least the ambition, because we believe that better humans make better leaders, and better leaders make better businesses. So better me is better we, and that's what we built this whole thing around. And because we have a very strong focus on entrepreneurs, And on the individual, if people are resilient themselves, then also the whole organization become resilient. And that's what we are building from the core, because entrepreneurs are problem solvers and solution shapers. So it's not just the management that feels entrepreneurial, but everybody. Entrepreneurs need or they want to take on. So we try to create this environment that is very entrepreneurial, and it's basically a training ground. And we do this by giving a lot of trust. Everything that we do at in our organization and our culture is built around trust, to give the freedom that people can take on the responsibility. Because without responsibility or taking on responsibility, you cannot not autonomously take decisions, etc. And you're just not an entrepreneur, because you are not just responsible for what you own. So we've built this on 14 guiding principles. Everybody owns something. Leadership is defined by followership. We don't count hours that you work. We don't we don't say you have to come to a certain place where you work. We don't count vacation days, but we have a minimum vacation policy, so you cannot just work. I could go into a lot more detail here, but people are really treated as adults and not as children, and I think that's why this whole thing worked. I wish you all the best for your entrepreneurial journey, and hope that you'll come to North Rhine-Westphalia at some point, and hope to meet you at some local events when we have the chance to really physically connect again. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. More or less on point, Manuel. So, and also don't worry, dear startups around the world, if you missed something or it was quite too fast. Also, the whole webinar today is recorded and will be shared on the Startup Germany website afterwards. So you still have the chance to dive a little bit deeper into it afterwards, to look at the presentations again, and also some questions we might not answer today will be also definitely answered afterwards, because that might take too long for today. So with that said, I'm handing over now to our next guest, Mukundan, who is based in the Aachen region. So we heard a lot of it from Markus, from Felix beforehand, about the famous university, for example, and it is also called the technology region in our state, deep in the western part. And Mukundan is part working for the DigiHub in Aachen, the digital hub, as also mentioned several times beforehand. It's part of a federal initiative, and these hubs can be definitely and for sure one of the central contact points for you as an international startup if coming over here, looking to do business, how to get into the ecosystem and all this stuff attached to that. So it's, I'm more than glad to have you, Mukundan, here on our webinar today about the startup ecosystem. So yeah, the stage is yours, and let us know a little bit more about the hub, about the Aachen region and everything else. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the introduction, Christoph, and thank you, Manuel, for sharing your story, and Markus for giving us a great overview of what is going on in NRW. So let me quickly share my slides with you, and then I can show you what a digital hub is and what the DW NRW hubs are. So basically, this initiative came to life because NRW is facing a problem or challenge regarding digital transformation. The first wave was missed in the B2C sector. So big startups were built in America or in China, like Tencent, Google, or Amazon. To address this challenge, this initiative, DW NRW hubs, were founded, and they are supporting digital startups, analyzing the digital potential of companies, and bridge the gap by creating a win-win situation. That means basically, like Markus already said, here are a lot of hidden champions, but they have problems in their processes or with their products or with their with their business model. And the startups usually in the digital hub are working in a digital field, so they can help to fill this gap. And we are not doing this alone, but we're working in a strong industry, politics, and science network. On the right side, you can see there are 5 hubs in this initiative, and this is how one hub can look like. This is Digital Hub Aachen, so you can see there's a great network. This is just a bit from the network. As you can see, there are some companies you might know, for instance, Lind or Centis, and the key stakeholders are the University of Aachen, which is like one of the most famous technical university in whole Germany. Besides that, we have a brilliant University of Applied Science, but we're working with the industry of Chamber of Commerce and with the city of Aachen as well. And as you can see in the right corner, we work even with the church together because it's quite incorporated in the city of Aachen. And our co-working space is located in an old church. So as I mentioned, we have 5 in a sum. 1 in Aachen, Ruhr Hub in Essen, Digital Hub Münsterland in Münster, Digital Hub Düsseldorf Rheinland in Düsseldorf, and Digital Hub in Bonn. In the bottom, you can see the URL, so you can directly go to the page and see what's going on there. All of them has their own unique selling proposition. So for instance, if you want to get into the Dutch market and the Belgian market, I would say Aachen is a good starting point because you can basically cycle to Belgium and to Netherlands, super nearby, and it's very easy to just go across border. We're collaborating with some hubs in Netherlands and in Belgium as well. So you can sit down there for 4 weeks and get in touch with Belgium and Dutch companies. For instance, if you're working in the field of hardware, maybe Münster is a good address. They have a rapid prototyping lab. Or if you're working in telecommunication and need good, fast connection, Bonn might be a good address because Telekom is their sponsor and they provide a sufficient network. Besides that, we are not alone. We are collaborating even on a greater scale. So we're connected to the Digital Hub in Cologne and in the Founders Foundation in Bielefeld. And besides that, we have an associated partner in Dortmund, in Paderborn, the Garage 33, Startport in Duisburg. So logistics is interesting for you. And we are collaborating on the Startup.nrw platform, which is basically a platform which brings everything together, and you can see all the key stakeholder there, all the relevant startups, more or less, investors and projects which are going on. But most importantly, the digital hubs, they offer you everything what you need for successful expansion into the German market. So we will provide you co-working space, internal and external consulting. So internally is someone like me who will just coach you on the market, German market, or the market in North Rhine-Westphalia in general. But externally, when it comes to legal question or tax question, we have partners like legal companies or PwC who can help you to set everything accordingly. And I would say the best biggest advantages, the best advantage is the matching. So as I mentioned already before, the mid-sized company, they're really seeking for digital solutions. And if you offer a good digital solution or process, you can already set up a pilot project, and it's a win-win situation because you can set up a track record in Germany and get some credibility. And for the SMEs, they can be competitive in the long run. If you haven't founded your company yet, Gründerstipendium NRW or Exist is a good starting point, depending on if you're a student or a graduate scientist in NRW. If you are working on some deep tech, then I would recommend you Exist because the funding size, ticket size is just a bit bigger. But if you're working just on a smaller company and you don't need that much money, Gründerstipendium NRW is quite easy to access. And for that, you only need residence permits, and your startup needs to be located in NRW. But that has to be the holding, it can be a subsidiary company as well. In the seed stage, it's a good idea to send a sales representative over. That firstly can increase your leads through our network. Generally speaking, from what I experienced over the last months, was that people told me that the German market is quite conservative compared to other markets, and warm introduction to those companies will help a lot and accelerate your sales cycle. Another good point is geographic proximity. So when you're close to your potential customers, that can increase the odds of conversion. I brought you one example from a Belgium startup, which just located in Aachen now, with their sales representative. Situation was they heavily invested into marketing to step a foot into the German market. The problem was there was barely any leads generated, and they had difficulties approaching potential German customers due to language barriers. The solution, as I mentioned, was the sales representative from Eupen. Eupen is a small city very nearby from Aachen, and the nice thing is they speak Flemish and German, so he can communicate with the headquarter quite easily and communicate with the local customers, and could even reduce his traveling time, and got some social proof that he's working in a network like Digital Hub. And scaling your business you can do with a German subsidiary company, for instance with a GmbH. That has the advantage that you can limit your liabilities, because expansion can be risky as well, and a German subsidiary can limit your liability or your risk up to 25K. Another good point is that you have legal and tax advantages, so you can offset the losses from the subsidiary company with the holding company, and you can get better contacts with the clients or the customers, because if the contracts are not in German, depending on what kind of business it is, you will have a hard time as well. Because me personally, I wouldn't sign any documents I can't even understand. And as an example, I brought you Econic, which is a Dutch startup. They're working on electrifying your home. They had over 15 million gross investment and were quite successful in their local domestic Dutch market. But the problem is the Netherlands is quite small, and if you want to expand, you need to be really near to your customers in case the heat pumps or the solar panel breaks down. Someone needs to fix it quite fast. And the solution was that they hired a German CEO and built up a German subsidiary and got all the benefits, which I already explained. And you can see the logo in the bottom. The address, the company address is exactly the same address as the digital church. And that's how they did it. Yeah, then lastly, scale smart and be part of the DW Hub ecosystem, like this gentleman in the middle. If you don't know him, he is the Minister President of Nrw Westphalia and might be the next Bundeskanzler in Germany. And this young ladies who had the Girls' Day in the digital church, because we truly believe founding a business is not only for men, even though in Aachen, because of the technical university, that's the case, but to encourage each and everyone to believe in their dreams and try to make it happen. And for further information, just get in touch with us.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you so Mukundan for this great introduction about the Aachen region, how the digital hub and as I said, also the other 4 hubs and also other network partners out there, other hubs and then networks are working here. So it's quite definitely a chance for you as an international startup to get in touch with those guys out there depending on the region. I guess Marcus presented it in the first hand quite greatly, what are the opportunities in the different kind of regions, also depending on the business you're in. And yeah, now last but definitely not least, we are staying on the regional level, but now switching to the largest, as you can see in my background already, and maybe also most prominent city in our state, which is Cologne, with its famous cathedral, which most of the people around the world know. And we are bringing up today in the webinar Gil from the startup unit from Köln Business, which is the state, or not the state-owned, it's the city's own economic development agency of the city of Cologne. And he definitely also lets you know how to connect to the right dots in, as said, one of the greatest cities and most prominent ones in our state. So yeah, Gil, the stage is yours, and please go ahead.
Thank you very much to all of you to having me here. A big welcome from my side. My name is Gil, representing the city of Cologne. I hope you can all see the screen for now. So I'm just going to jump into it. Maybe for you guys, just 2 takeaways from the beginning. So first of all, if you see anything you're interested in, make sure you get in touch. I obviously can only touch the surface, so there's a lot more underneath. At the end, my last slide will be my contact details, so feel free to get in touch. Second takeaway, we've heard so much about the state, and I just want to say sort of Cologne is by far the biggest, coolest, and sexiest city in the state. So let me jump in. I want to start by basically introducing Köln Business. Who am I working for? Köln Business, which is basically Cologne Business, is like the economic development agency of the city of Cologne. We are a 100% daughter company of the city, and we have been outsourced 2 years ago. So it's been founded in 2019. It was a decision to outsource the economic development agency to just have it easier to work. And we are the first point of contact for all companies, being it founders, investors, other companies. We're about 70 people strong by now, and we speak about 15 languages. Within Köln Business, we have a startup unit, which is where I'm part of. So we have a whole dedicated team to help our startup ecosystem, our startups, but also personally, I'm responsible for all international activities. So anybody who's interested in Cologne usually comes through my door. We as a unit, for everybody to know, we don't take any money. We don't even, in most cases, are allowed to make money. So it brings us in a good position to be like a neutral broker. Everybody knows, we're not there to make money, but we're there to help basically others develop within our city, I have to say. So we do a lot of connection. We have our own programs, being a little bit as an ecosystem builder, a lot of guiding, a lot of promotion for all our startups. This is a little sort of snapshot, a glance of our ecosystem. We've just come up to about 600 plus startups, and that was just recently. Most of these startups are in the early stage, in the early phase, but we're trying to focus more on the scale-ups, more on the later startups, or scale-ups now as well. You have heard most things within the region. I mean, obviously the region is bigger than the city, but the city alone in Cologne, we have more than 100,000 students. We have plenty of co-working business centers. Everything a startup needs to basically grow and scale their business. I think one thing to mention for Cologne and probably the region, as you've heard about the B2B opportunities, and I come to that in a minute too, is that therefore we have a lot of corporate capital as well. So it's quite, we have a lot of spin-offs, but also a lot of corporate who actually invest or completely buy out startups. Not to forget, we're a trade fair city, I think number 6 in the world, something like this. So we have huge and lots of events. I'm happy that Manuel gave his interesting speech. The Pirate Summit is obviously our coolest startup event, but we also have the Demexco, a big online marketing trade fair. We have the Gamescom that I guess everybody knows. If you want to find out more about the Cologne ecosystem, we have a startup map. So you see in the bottom, startup-map.cologne. It's powered by Nrw. You find it's an open data platform or source for our startup ecosystem. So you can find anything you need to know mainly there. If not, get in touch with me. And just a little notch on the side, so the last 5 years, we doubled in value from our ecosystem. And we're not huge, but at least it shows we're going in the right direction. Then I've heard there's a certain vertical focus on this whole tour. So I wanted to tap into it just a little bit. And this is literally just to let you know, whoever is interested in sort of the InsurTech industry, we have the InsurLab Germany, and you haven't heard about it, please make sure Google InsurLab Germany. It's sort of a hub that connects startups and the insurance industry. It's running very, very successful. They have a physical hub with a co-working space, and they are only focused on the insurtech industry. So make sure you have a look. If you're interested, get in touch. I make an introduction on the next day. For the logistics and mobility part, we actually have it divided within, because we have also in-house experts on these. So also get in touch. We have about 5,000 companies, something in the region. Next year, we come up with a new mobility trade fair. So I'm only mentioning a few highlights, as you will see. A new trade fair from the trade fair company. Looking forward to that. Really interesting concepts. I've seen a few. But we're also establishing, or the region, I have to say, this is a little bit greater than Cologne itself, but the region around, investing heavily in the hydrogen model region. So anything related to that, get in touch. I connect you to our in-house experts who know much more about it. And of course, smart city, I guess every city in the world by now has it. Also, our city has a dedicated apartment. It's one of their focus topics. So if that's the case, get in touch and I will connect you. So as we're almost closing in on the end, and as you heard by some of my predecessors, Cologne, or the region, but Cologne as well, is like a powerhouse, right? And that compared to other cities or regions within Europe. That leads to massive B2B opportunities. If you're looking for pilots, POCs, whatever it is, I think Cologne and the region is a place to be. But not only B2B, we've also heard the B2C. I think somebody mentioned it before. If you look on the top left picture, you reach about 17 million people within a 100-kilometer radius. That's quite astonishing. Only London, but London itself is about 9 or 10 million, is anywhere near. Second, or the middle picture shows you with the train, our infrastructure a little bit, 2.5 hours to Amsterdam, 3 to Paris, a little more than 4 to London, 3 airports around. And something that rarely anybody knows is the top right one. And I have to be honest, it's 2 or 3 years old, but not that much has changed. So Cologne actually also delivers some of the most tech developers within the whole Europe, at least, right? It doesn't go out of Europe, besides Russia. Last but not least, I want to show you this movie. It's one of our in-house made movies. Very nice. It's in English. It's about 2 minutes, and it will be the end. So afterwards, you just see a slide of my contact details in case anything is to interest of you. Thank you very much, and enjoy the movie.
Cologne. No, not that Cologne. This Cologne. We've always been an engine of innovation. Fun fact, we invented it. Today, we drive on data highways and are driven by life science, biotech, and IT. And we love to entertain. This is the place for startups and industry giants. "17 million people live in our region, from all over the globe and all walks of life, and in all colors. Here, everybody's welcome. Or as we like to say,
jeder Jeck ist anders. Jeder ist anders Jeck. Und jetzt Jeck sind wir all.
We export goods and knowledge. And we're in great company. Close to Paris, Brussels, and Amsterdam. Trade city for 2,000 years. The service industry and the trades are the heart of our economy, covering anything from Beethoven to your insurance. We also prepare Europe's astronauts for their missions and welcome them back with our famous beer. Cologne, the city that combines business with lifestyle. And yes, before you ask, Cologne also comes from Cologne.
So, just as a final slide, happy to, for you guys to take my contact details, get in touch. Back to you, Thomas.
Yeah. So thanks, Gil, also for the very good presentation. At least, as you also said, it's only a very touching, more or less, the higher ground. So it's not diving too deep into the topic today. So also this opportunity offers the Startup Germany tour afterwards in November. So please make sure, if you're not registered yet, to join that tour, because it's quite a unique opportunity to get to know the area, as it's quite a huge variety, as so many times said today, with so many sectors also besides the sectors and verticals Dominic mentioned, smart city, insurtech, and of course the mobility sphere and everything. We also have to offer, as the wonderful movie of Gil in the end shows, also for NRW that counts, quite a huge opportunity in many kind of fields, be it logistics, Industry 4.0, everything is connected, automotive, inter alia. So that's definitely a chance. So please take it. I guess with regards to the time and looking at the chat, most of the questions were answered so far directly. So thanks again also to all the speakers participating today, making this a wonderful event. And as you might have seen and taken the time, all the speakers have shared their contact details in the end. If you didn't catch that, please let us know. Then Dominic or my side can share that afterwards with you, to be in touch on the bilateral basis afterwards. And yeah, I guess if there are not any more questions coming in right now, then we are good to close that very free opening event of the Startup Tour Germany. But as said also by the minister and many people beforehand, there's a lot more to come in this coming months. So be it some startup events, and of course the great Startup Germany tour in November, then offering you as a global startup wherever you're based out there, yeah, very good opportunities to cover the market, to get into the ecosystem here, and yeah, as I like to say, connecting the right dots. So stay safe these days out there wherever you are. Yeah, stay happy. Of course, that's also one of the most important things in these days. And yeah, see you hopefully very soon around here in NRW, be it in the physical event or also in a digital way in November. So if there's anything else from your side, as said, please let us all know. We are here to help to get you around. And I like to close with the words of our CEO. So ready, steady, grow with us in NRW, the best way to grow big in Europe. So thanks everybody for joining. Stay safe these days, stay healthy, and all the best. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye together.